So here we are again with Fed Day. And if you don't know what that means, Jerome Powell, the head of the Fed, is coming out today in the United States and letting us know if they will drop interest rates, which means by dropping interest rates, this is a key signal to investors that risk on assets are okay. And this is what we've been waiting for a long time. And so here I am again, refreshing the charts, refreshing news blogs, refreshing YouTube videos, waiting for Jerome Powell to say something that might move the market and all those people that are watching the market alongside it. Today, there's also this big White House report, which I mentioned before, on crypto that's dropping. And there's still a lot of ambiguity. I can't even say that word. It's still very unclear of what will be inside of this report and what happens next for crypto or the coins that may be mentioned inside of the report. Uh, and part of me wants to believe deeply that this will finally be the day that something shifts. When these headlines happen, I get attached to it. And I'm like, maybe today's today. Maybe this is going to happen. Maybe the charts are going to move. And there's this hope that XRP will finally get the green light to just go, and run and do what it was created to do. And if it's not today, will it be August 15th when the SEC must decide how they want to go forward with the case against Ripple and XRP? This is another date that's in my head. And here I am once again waiting for an external factor to validate the years of commitment, patience, belief, internal game of connecting the dots along, like with myself and alongside other content creators. And but we're seeing it kind of unfold, but still no price action, no major price action, no major adoption in the news. Um, and it's crazy because I say no major adoption, but even yesterday on CS or CNBC, there was a segment where Ripple or XRP is being talked about by investment fund managers that have created a version of XRP to be traded on, and they said it's their highest performing assets in the history of their company. And this is on a major network. So there is progress, but we want to see more progress. We want to see this actually live to its full potential. But all this being said, if I'm being honest, sitting here waiting, it's exhausting and it's taxing on my mind and my hope for this technology. Because the truth is, I've been through this time and time and time again. I've waited for headlines to save me, for markets to prove me right, for someone else outside of me to validate this vision I already feel deeply in my gut. And the more I do this, the more I realize I can't keep holding on to XRP or any part of this space based solely off speculation or hype or hope alone. I would literally fall apart, literally. And I have to truly understand what I'm holding. I have to understand why I'm still here, which is why these videos are coming forward. So today, I want to talk about trust, not just trust in the markets or the Fed or institutions, but what it really means when a system says it's trustless and what it means to rebuild trust in myself while navigating something so uncertain. Because maybe the real work isn't just understanding the tech, maybe it's understanding what this technology is revealing about me, because it really is revealing a lot about me. So let's talk about this word we keep hearing in the crypto industry, trustless. To me, it sounds a bit cold, even a bit vague, especially in a world where trust seems to mean less and less every day. It sounds like a word probably without relationship, without belief, without faith, all things that are kind of boring, I think. But in blockchain, trustless means something very different. It means you don't have to trust a third party entity that we're so used to, like a bank or an audit company or a hedge fund company or a foreign exchange service. You can trust the system itself. And I know for most people, when we start talking about hedge fund managers and foreign exchange services and audit companies, we can tune out because these are so far removed from our everyday experience. But the reason why I find XRP so exciting is because we have an opportunity to be a part of the plumbing of a new system, to be a part of something that we normally were held out of the boardroom for discussions about. So with XRP and the XRP Ledger, this trustless design starts with how the network reaches consensus, not through mining or staking like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but through a system of validators that are interconnected. These are known vetted participants who work together to validate transactions, fast, reliable, and without anyone having ultimate control. And anyone that doesn't meet the criteria for validation is eventually removed from the system. Unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, where block production can be slow or energy intensive, the XRP Ledger closes a new block every 3 to 5 seconds. And it doesn't rely on incentives like block rewards or any kind of other incentives. Meaning, in other chains, if you solve this transaction, you receive a yield or reward. XRP relies on a protocol level agreement, which means that the blockchain automatically settles transactions in 3 seconds. The network requires multi-signature validation to process a transfer. And a consensus algorithm determines how transactions are verified. This is built into the system innately, meaning anything that runs on top of the system automatically takes these qualities into its existence as well. And in other words, everyone that uses the protocol must follow the same rules by default. Like, it is what it is. Pardon me. And this is what makes it trustworthy, scalable, and low cost. But what really makes XRP trustless is this. There is no central authority that controls the network, not even Ripple. Validators are distributed across university, exchanges, financial institutions, and independent developers. And they don't receive incentives to validate, but what they do get is knowing that by validating the system itself thrives. That is the incentive. So, you don't have to trust a company with this new system. You can verify every transaction yourself. The ledger is public, it's immutable, and it's open. So when I say I'm holding XRP, I'm not holding a gamble on hype. I'm holding access to a system that settles value in real time without needing to trust any middleman. And the more I understand how that works, the more I realize the same is being asked of me. I can become the kind of person who doesn't need someone else to tell me what's real, but I can verify it for myself through research, through discovery, by connecting the dots, by digging in deeper, which is what my intention is and what I'm doing. And maybe that's been the lesson all along. While I've been waiting for a Fed announcement for lower interest rates, I'm sure many of us have, while I'm sitting here hoping the White House report finally recognizes XRP and potentially even other tokens in my portfolio, While I've been watching the SEC drag its heels on a case that should have ended months ago, the XRP Ledger has kept running, closing a block every few seconds. No drama, no headlines, just proof of work without needing to prove anything to anyone. So as of today, Ripple has dropped its cross appeal to the SEC. Judge Annalisa Torres, who oversaw the case with the SEC and Ripple, has already ruled that XRP is not a security on the open market. The SEC's next move is due August 15th. Meanwhile, Ripple holds licenses across the US, Singapore, the UAE, and Ireland. Governments around the world, from Palau to Colombia to Hong Kong, are actively piloting projects using XRP or Ripple's technology. And the stablecoin RLUSD has already launched and has received a grade A rating compared to other stablecoins. And this stablecoin RLUSD runs on both Ethereum and the XRP Ledger. Ripple has acquired Medico, a Swiss-based digital asset custodian and tokenization platform used by major banks and institutions. Ripple has acquired a 40% stake in Trenglo, a leading Asian cross-border payment firm, helping to expand RippleNet and on-demand liquidity into Asia-Pacific markets. Ripple has also created joint ventures and equity stakes in MoneyTap, a mobile transfer app backed by Japanese banks, along with stakes in SBI Holdings, focused on bank adoption in Japan and South Korea. And the list of strategic partners around the world continues to grow, from major banks and institutions in Spain, Egypt, the US, Saudi Arabia, and Australia. All this is happening while there's been major opposition against XRP and Ripple, but it continues to grow. So while the headlines feel slow, the system is moving. And the real clarity, it might not come from Washington. It might come from within. When I choose to keep showing up, not because someone told me this is valuable, because no one has actually told me this is valuable. I've understood that this is valuable. And that going forward, I get to refine how I feel about this. I get to dig deeper, not just to trust a system because I think it might work or I think they have good connections with certain banks that feel, big, but because it makes sense and it checks out. Again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just inquisitive. I'm curious. Something is forming. And I think XRP is a part of that conversation. Thanks for joining me again. I'll see you tomorrow. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.